We are joined this evening by Jeremy Swartz, who is now a congressman candidate there. Welcome.
Correct.
Thank you very much for joining us. You'll be running the 9th District against Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur.
Correct.
Why do you think that you can make an impact in Congress?
Well, I think the biggest thing right now is most of our members of Congress are not listening to the general public, and they're not taking our views into account when they pass their vote in Congress. And they're certainly not taking into account our United States Constitution. So we need to go back to a government that's actually working for the people. And I feel that I'm a person that wants to work for our Constitution and not pass laws that our Constitution doesn't provide and allow for. So,
what specific parts of the Constitution do you think Congress is not following?
Let's take, for instance, the health care bill. They expressed the fact that they want it's a commerce clause in the Constitution that allows them the ability to pass the health care bill and mandate onto the people that we have to buy health insurance. So that's just one example right there.
Okay. So you'd be one of many hundreds of people there in the Congress. How do you think specifically you would be able to make an impact for Northwest Ohio?
Well, I think one of the biggest things I could do is actually work with other congressmen and try to help them and get things passed. Let's take Audit the Fed, for example, and Congressman Ron Paul. He needs to have additional support in Congress that can get that done, and I am certainly a person that would be willing to support him in doing that.
Okay. Not a popular thing that anybody's
Correct.
talking about, but do you really feel like there's small little pieces of the government that if you worked on those, you could, in the whole, make some change?
Well, absolutely, absolutely. I would like to do take a look at some of the programs that we're operating and running right now at the federal government level and try to do away with some of those that we don't need.
And you have an interesting background, a law enforcement background, and now you're an EMT, is that
Correct.
right?
I've been in public service since I got out of high school in 1994. I went right into emergency medical technician, became a volunteer firefighter, police officer in Cary, Ohio for 4 years, and spent 2 years roughly at the Hancock County Sheriff's Office auxiliary. Okay. So I've been a public servant my entire life.
So how does that background, do you feel like, uniquely prepare you to do something like Congress?
That's an interesting question. I think because my whole goal in life was to do good for the public, work for them, try to make them feel comfortable, I guess you'd say, and I think because that I've spent my life, helping people, volunteering, working in that position, that it's something that I think I'm capable of doing.
So do you think that the government does enough to help law enforcement and medical personnel these days? I mean, I know you're specifically talking about healthcare, but do you think the government needs to get back to its basics and think about things like that?
Well, yeah, it does, because the federal government is spending quite a bit of money on various things that as far as grants and to individual companies or organizations that not necessarily should be getting federal grants. Take Acorn, for example. Mm-hmm. They've received a good sum of federal money that they probably shouldn't have received. So we need to go back to, working for the things that are public safety, law enforcement, and making sure that those areas have the funding they need and not stress so much in some of the other areas.
All right, Jeremy. Well, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much. We wish you the best of luck in this election season coming up here. And that is your Talk Back.